Well, thank you, Director. That's a very good, sobering reminder of what it's like to get up every day to be a police officer. You don't know if you're going to come home. You don't know if the last time you say bye to your spouse or significant other or your children is the last time you see them. And every time somebody falls in battle, we give them appropriate honor, but a lot of people fall in the line of duty and go unnoticed until right now. So, well done. So let's talk about foreign and domestic threats. That's what we're all really about at the FBI. Do you have agents in Afghanistan?
We do have a few, yes.
Okay. From your point of view, is the terrorist threats in Afghanistan, have they been extinguished to the homeland? Are their threats still alive and well in Afghanistan to the American homeland?
We are concerned about developments in Afghanistan and the potential ramifications for Americans both around the world and here at home.
For the committee, there are more al-Qaeda folks than there were before 9/11. ISIS-K is one of the more lethal offshoots of ISIS, and they're in Afghanistan as I speak. Sequestration. If sequestration goes back into effect, how would it affect your ability to operate?
I would use the word devastating, and I think you and I know each other well enough now to know that I don't tend to use a lot of hyperbole. We at the FBI, in a way that's different from some of our other agencies around the government, an awful lot of that money would go straight to personnel costs, so our ability to keep people safe would most definitely be severely hampered.
So devastating is a pretty accurate description. Section 215, your authority is about to expire. Can you tell us about that?
So under the USA Freedom Act, there are really three provisions that are particularly relevant to the FBI that are set to expire if we don't collectively act here. The first, and perhaps the most widely used, is the business records provision, which we use routinely almost every day under court supervision to collect all kinds of business records, many of which would not be available under national security letters, for example. So that's something that we use all the time in our national security work.
If you lost that authority, how would that affect your ability to operate?
It would affect our counterterrorism mission profoundly. It would affect our counterintelligence mission profoundly, and increasingly, it would affect our cyber mission profoundly.
Okay, and there are a couple other authorities, so you're hoping for reauthorization? Is that your request to the committee?
Well, certainly these are indispensable tools, and I think we would look forward to working with Congress to make sure that we don't lose the ability to use these tools to keep Americans safe. They're all court supervised and subject to extensive oversight.
So I mentioned in my opening statement the 2020 election. Do you have what you need to provide election security from your lane, from the Congress? Do you have the money and the statutory authority you need?
Well, from our lane, of course, at the FBI, our primary focus is on the malign foreign influence piece. There's a separate election infrastructure piece that DHS deals with the states on more. We feel that we have significant resources devoted to the foreign influence piece, and the President's budget that's currently up before the Congress asks for additional resources to help us do that.
Is there any law that we need to change that would help you? You don't have to answer right now, just get back with me.
We can always use more tools in the toolbox, but at the moment I can't think of one on the foreign influence piece
Fair
specifically.
enough, you just get back with me. The Chinese, what are the Chinese up to when it comes to counterintelligence operations and bad things?
So, Mr. Chairman, I would say that there is no country that poses a more severe counterintelligence threat to this country right now than China. And
That's saying a lot.
That is saying a lot, and I don't say it lightly.
Who would be second?
Probably Russia.
What's the difference between first and second?
So China is fighting a generational fight here. And when I say China, I want to be clear. This is not about the Chinese people as a whole, and it's certainly not about Chinese Americans in this country. What it is about, though, is about a country that is, in a variety of ways, through the Chinese government, the Chinese Communist Party, using not just government officials, but private sector entities, non-traditional collectors, et cetera, to steal their way up the economic ladder at our expense. And we have, as we speak, probably about 1,000 plus investigations all across the country involving attempted theft of U.S. intellectual property, whether it's economic espionage or counterproliferation, almost all leading back to China. And so it is a threat that's deep and diverse and wide and vexing, whether it's in terms of the kinds of actors that are used, the kinds of techniques are used, the kind of targets that are used. And so we're working extremely hard with all of our partners to combat it. But make no mistake, this is a high, high priority for all of us.
Are the Russians still trying to interfere in our election system?
The Russians are absolutely intent on trying to interfere with our elections through,
Is it fair to say that
foreign influence in particular.
everything we've done against Russia has not deterred them enough? All the sanctions, all the talk, they're still at it.
Well, my view is until they stop, they haven't been deterred enough.
And they're still doing it.
Yes.
Okay, good. So some of us are concerned about the 2016 election in terms of bias. Do you trust Mr. Horowitz to be fair to the country as a whole when he looks at the FISA warrant process?
I will say, Mr. Chairman, in all my experience with Inspector General Horowitz, that while he can be pretty hard-hitting, he's independent, he's objective, he's fair, he's professional, he's thorough, and I have no reason to doubt the integrity or the quality of the investigation he has underway.
When it comes to the counterintelligence investigation of the Trump campaign, is anybody providing kind of a deep dive to look at what happened there? Is that part of Mr. Horowitz's charter?
Well, I think I would let Inspector General Horowitz speak for himself about the scope of his investigation, but as you know, the Attorney General has doing a review, or has commissioned some people to do a review, and I think that's part of his job, it's part of mine, to get some of those questions answered.
Thank you. Senator